gentlemen, boys and girls, hey, Coach Zach here, welcome back. Oh, my camera's in reverse, so get used to this. Coach Zach from Bigger Revolution, bringing you the best science to create your leanest, strongest, healthiest body, even during this crisis time, so these are going to allow you to train from home with minimal to no equipment. I want to break down today's session. Yesterday, I did not put out the Day 3's cardio video, so I'm going to attach that later today. But we started day 1, we were doing push-ups and squats and some back movements, and we're going to revisit that. But now we're going to start to program a little bit differently. So programming is a huge part of success. The program that is going to create the best results for you has to be programmed specifically. There's three variables to programming that you have to be able to follow. We're going to use what's called a density component today, which is going to stimulate some muscle growth and some strength acquisition. That's why our push-ups and our squats and then our dead bugs and row routines are going to be broken down into time segments versus a long-form circuit like we were doing on day number 1. First, let's get ready. So we have some movement prep goals. We're going to address our trigger points as needed, like I was showing in day number 1. You're going to use whatever kind of ball you have access to, or whatever sort of soft tissue implement you have at your disposal. I prefer a ball over a foam roller because it's more targeted. You can find what's called a trigger point, which are the areas that like massage therapists will focus on to alleviate chronic tension and some tissue problems. We can do that on our own to really give us some benefits. So first movement today is going to be what's called the ostrich walk. Compare it to day's 4 movements versus day 1 and 2. And what your goal is to start building your own profile of what movements you find are going to be opening up your body the best. What works best for me is not going to work best for you, which is not going to work best for your best friend or the Instagram model with the awesome six-pack abs. So we're just dialing into what our body is doing and what we need to do. So number 1 is the ostrich walk. So I'm going to come down here, slide my hands down my legs comfortably. I'm coming to where I start to feel resistance. I'm not trying to push into the stress. And then I'm just taking little steps. I'm going to elevate just a little bit as I step. And then as I step, I'm going to come back down. I'm going with the breath, and as you can see, it's going to start to give me forward range of motion, just being active like this, and some active mobility work. Now, I feel this mostly up here in the top of my T-spine between my shoulder blades, so when I were to take my ball and start trying to release some tension, that's the area I'm going to be focused on. Since I'm on camera, I'm going to be going backwards. I don't recommend anybody goes backwards in the beginning. Just keep going forwards. Maybe 20 steps on both legs, a minute or so. And when you feel like you're not getting down any further, then we know that we've affected that change that we're looking for. Again, we're just trying to create an opportunity to get into a deeper range of motion, so I'm not going to get all the way down on the first time I try. I'm just trying to increase my range of motion for the session. When I stop feeling like I'm getting any further after my about 20 steps on each leg, I'm going to slightly bend the knees to reload my legs. Kind of dangerous. This is a position generally people will throw their back out of. So you'll see people and they'll say, oh, it's just picking up whatever, a 1 pound bag or a thing of laundry. And it's because in this position, I have no musculature in my lower back that's going to be activated when I try to stand up. So I'm going to be loading that soft tissue. So it's better just to slightly load the legs, especially as you're a beginner. Until your abs turn back on and then come back out of that. Address trigger points as needed. Next, I'm going to come into a cobra. Classic yoga position. There's a couple variations here depending on your range of motion. A lot of people will just start here on elbows, and you might have to start further out. I do not want to feel pressure or pain in my lower back, so if that's the case, I'm going to have to put a cushion or something underneath my hips. I'm going to bring my elbows back. My shoulders are away from my ears. We have a saying in Strong First, the shoulders are ear poison, so I'm trying to get those shoulders down away from my ears. Still focusing on that good superhero chest like we talked about in day number 1. From here, I can start trying to come up with my breath. I'm breathing into my hips and into the floor, right in the bottom of my abdomen. If this is way too easy for you, then we're going to elevate. Most people are going to want to start there. If it's too easy, we can elevate. And I'm going to turn to one side. As I turn to one side, I'm driving this hip forward, keeping my chest open. And I'm trying to turn my head while keeping my chin up to see my opposite ankle. That's the more advanced version. Even you can see I'm starting to lose my shoulder position a little bit, so really focus on that shoulder position and control them with the breath. Okay? That's number 2. Now, number 3 is pretty tricky in the beginning. Most people, anytime we've been in this position in our life, we've attempted to execute a push-up. Now I'm asking you not to do that. What we're going to do is we're just going to bring the shoulder blades together, shoulders away from my ears, and then separate the shoulder blades apart. To learn this, I always elevate people. So I have to bring my shoddy camera over here. Okay. This is going to make more sense for most people's bodies. The movement, so I'm clear on what the movement should look like, is I'm right here, and I'm pulling my shoulder blades together, and then pushing them apart. Shoulder blades together, pushing apart. My arms stay straight the whole time. Most of us are going to start our push-up sequence staying elevated anyway, so I can practice my scapular push-ups here. If that feels pretty good, you can start working in a rotation too. So I can bring my shoulder blades together, rotate up, and then back down, and they go the opposite direction. Shoulder blades together, rotate down and back. About 10 to 15 of those, just to get those shoulder blades moving and learn to regain that scapular control. Number 4, supported deep squat. Anything I can hang on to that's going to allow me to take some weight off of my hips. And I'm just going to start to experiment with how low I can get, how low I can control. And I can start shifting side to side as I'm breathing. In this deep position, I tell people a big cue is to pretend like you're driving, and you have to really take a piss, and you're about 30 minutes away from a gas station, and you're going to start to contract that PC muscle, which is in your pelvis, in order so that you don't pee your pants. And I can use that same muscle as I'm working on my strength training in order to really activate my abdomen in my deep squat position. I can rock a little bit, and I'm trying to get my hips down underneath my knees, pointed right above my ankles. Not everyone's going to get that low in the beginning, obviously. A little trick you can use, if you're really locked up in this, is to use a slender book or anything that's solid, and you can start to elevate your heels a little bit. Find the distance. You may have to go 2 or 3 times this height, but this takes some of the load out of my ankles, and now I'm going to be able to get down in that deep squat position a lot easier. You can work on supporting yourself with as little tension as needed. Again, shifting side to side, playing around, bringing the knees in and out, finding the angles in your hips that give you the best deep squat. And in a further session, I'm going to break down the squat a little bit deeper, but today we're going to really focus on push-up technique, and then we're going to go into our routine. Most people really suck at push-ups, and I don't say that insultingly or anything about them as individuals. It's just a reflection of how bad we are at teaching push-ups to everybody, especially when they're in school. We're starting to learn to use our body. Most schools don't have good PE courses anymore. They're really focused on anatomy and physiology, so we have to relearn how to do push-ups. When I'm going down, anytime I'm doing a strength movement and I'm trying to generate force, I'm going to use my opposing muscles in the eccentric part of the movement. The eccentric is the opposite movement of what I'm looking to do. So if I'm doing push-ups or bench press, it's a horizontal pressing motion away from my chest. That means the press is the concentric portion, and that means that this motion is the eccentric motion. Okay? Opposite muscle groups can be used in order to increase my strength and to make my body stronger, safer, and more integrated as a working unit. So if this is my emphasis, then when I'm doing this eccentric movement, I can really start to use my lats in the push-up. What this is going to look like, and I tell people mostly to start on a bar or a countertop so they can get this sensation down. But if my hands are on the ground, I'm going to be corkscrewing like this without my hands moving. So my hands stay in place, my elbows corkscrew, and I'm thinking about crushing something in my armpits. As I pull myself down into that push-up, my lats are now fully loaded. In the bottom, my lats feel like I have just completed a row. That's how tight I'm getting my back. My abs are tight, I'm in a full body plank, my butt's tight, my legs are tight, and I'm going to use all this tension in order to push harder. My shoulders are down and back, my neck is loose, and no point in time should those shoulders be popping up. I don't ever want to be in a shrugged movement like this. I always want my shoulders down and back, always cue that superhero chest where my chest is as wide as possible. pull myself down, fully load the lats, pause for just a second or half a second, so I just completely control the load, and I'm not putting my weight into the bar, I'm not slumping down, or I'm not slumping onto the floor, whatever I'm using. I pull, I'm tight, I load up fully, I just barely hover above my pushing point, and then I explode up. As I explode, again, if my hands are on the ground, I'm doing that corkscrew motion. As I explode, I'm thinking about pushing from my armpits, and I'm driving into the ground like I'm trying to push the earth away. Or if I'm elevated, I'm trying to push that bar away. This is the motion I'm doing, even though my upper body is not going to change position at all. That's my intent, okay? So I'm here, tight plank, corkscrew on the way down, load up, explode back up. Corkscrew down, load up, explode back up. Most people will have to start elevated, so get an appropriate height, like I say in my instructions. Find some countertop space, something like that you can properly do those. That's exercise number 1. I'm going to do that for about 6 to 8 reps. The key with determining my reps is that when my power starts to drop, okay? So let's say I'm trying to aim for a set of 8, and I'm doing awesome. This is number 5. This is number 6. Ooh, number 6 is a little tough, and my speed drops. I'm going to stop the set right when my speed drops, or 1 rep before, to save it for the next set. Now I'm going to come in, I'm going to do my squats. If you're really struggling with squats and you're having a hard time getting low, again, you can do them supported. Okay, and come on down. I'm still looking at that pause, making sure my abs are fully contracted, that PC muscles engaged, pushing the earth away, coming back up. If I'm ready to load it up, you can test the 2 weights I recommend. You can test your pressing weight that you're using for your overhead presses. This is mine right here. Tight. Pull myself down. Nice and load. Under full control. As my speed drops, the set's over. I'm going to alternate those for 10 minutes. If I'm feeling really fatigued after doing a set of push-ups and squats, and I still have more work to do, I can add in some active recovery. I can revisit those band or dowel openers like we did in day number 1. Moving with the breath. I could just do some basic arm circles. Palm facing me as I turn, palm facing away from me. I can rotate my upper body into it. Whatever I need to do to get ready for that next round. I want to be moving the whole time, okay? That's section number 1. After 10 minutes, you're going to go on to section number 3, section number 1 was movement prep. Push-up squats was section number 2. Section number 3, I have set up to do rows. If you have something like a TRX or a really solid piece of rope that doesn't affect your hands, this is a great time to use it. As I say in my instructions, don't be a dumbass. Don't try to hook yourself up to something and create a gym fail compilation video where you're falling over and cracking your head or something like that. Now is not the best time to visit the ER in case you were not aware. Let me turn this just a little bit more. Okay. If I am using a TRX or something similar, I really want to again emphasize this full body plank. My abs are tight, my legs are together. Lean back into it, row. I'm doing this set. Again, I put 6 to 8 reps. You can really emphasize that top position by a full squeeze for just a second and back down. If I do not have access to something like that, I can take my dumbbell that I am using for my other training, for my overhead training. I can set up on my elevation that I'm using for my push-ups safely. Full body plank, nice and tight. I come into what we call the renegade row. Obviously, the lower I go, the more challenging. So I can play around with that elevation if that's all I have access to. If neither one of those rows work for your setup, post a comment down below. I'll give you another idea. The rows are going to be supersetted with what's called dead bugs. So I'm here on the ground. All 4 limbs are up in the air. Really important to get this tailbone up off the ground and keep it up there. I'm bringing 1 foot and 1 hand towards the ground. Nice and slow. I barely touch the ground or hover above it, but I come back up. Too close to my bar. In the beginning, the easiest version is going to be opposite arm, opposite leg. Some people really have a hard time with this coordination. So what I have them do is I give them a little bit more proprioception to work off of by making contact with your other limb. So if I'm going to lower my right leg and my left arm, I can take my right hand and place it on my left leg. And now my brain is going to be fully aware of what limbs I want to move and which ones are staying stationary. A lot of people struggle with these in the beginning. As we get more advanced, we can change that pattern. But I'm going to do that sequence in my rows version and my dead bugs for 10 minutes. Alternate between the two as much as I can. One more little trick I'm going to show everybody today, especially for push-ups. A lot of times we think that we're in a full body plank and we have a lot more tension that we can create. You can take a yoga block or some sort of a cushion, anything that's thick enough to create tension between your legs, and I can actively crush here, and it's going to really start to build a lot more tension across my lowest abs and my pelvis. Okay? Butt tight, legs tight, abs are fully braced for a punch. Anybody should be walking up and hit me at any point in time. I should be able to take it. And now I'm back into my push-ups. I can do this on my rows. Okay? And I can compare that level of tension with what I'm creating on my own to see and to ensure that I'm generating enough tension. If you have time for cardio today, like I said, I didn't get to my cardio video yesterday due to some unforeseen circumstances. Let me flip that around. Now I'm all backwards. Boop. My cardio challenge today would be to try to go as far as I can in 10 to 15 minutes with a run, a jog, or a walk. I want to challenge myself. I want to get my heart rate going high, but I don't want to have a problem with it. So I don't want to feel nauseous. I don't want to be out of breath. I don't want to feel like I'm going to pass out. Or I definitely don't want to hurt myself. So push yourself a little bit. Go to 10 to 15 minutes. The cool thing about that is that once you have that distance, we can take that and we can customize your cardio work every single week based on this initial distance. And by the end of this quarantine period, you're going to be going, 120% or further than you are right now. So it's a pretty awesome way to advance it, nice and easy. Post your questions and comments down below. I hope that's helpful today. Please, please, please share. I'm trying to keep people aware of my gym right now. Obviously, I can't have people coming in, but we're trying to just help the community as much as we can right now and get us back up and running as soon as possible. I have to be honest, there are going to be some people that really suffer from this. We're going to have problems with friends and family. Most of us are going to be okay. Some of us may get sick. Most people are going to be able to, fight this off at home without medical intervention. We really need to support the people who need the treatment right now, and we really need to focus on supporting our medical professionals, okay? I'll post later some donation ideas if you want to do that. Start thinking of ways to help people in our community. We can all kind of get through this together. I really do believe most of us will be able to come out of this period far healthier and stronger because it's really it's really forcing us to focus on ourselves to see what's working in our life, what's not working, what changes we can make, and it really does start with health, okay? If our immune system's operating great, if I have a strong, healthy body, I'm going to be able to fight things off like this. So let's focus first on our individual health while we help other people. Make sure that we learn our lessons from this and move forward far healthier, stronger in every single way. Make it a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon. Bye.